And welcome to Outside the Box. I'm your host, Creative Guy, with co-host Tony, and it looks like we have Laura in the line here, if memory serves, at the number, 805 area code, Ventura, California area, I guess.
That's
anyway, how's
me.
everyone doing tonight? Yes, it is you. How are you doing, hon? Good to have you back.
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, any day of the week. Yeah, I just love shooting shit with you. You're awesome. you bring it to the table. You know, that's what we need here. And Tony, we got you there too, right?
Yeah, indeed. I'm just trying to figure my way through the Skype on the Blog Talk and bring Alfred in. So if you just bear with us, it'll be cool.
Oh yeah, live radio, you know what it's like. All sorts of fun, all sorts of neat adventures that we can get into. So, Laura, what any fun occurrences since we last talked?
Oh gosh, I'm sure. Let's see. My gosh. Well, I had Lisa Renee on my radio show last night, which was excellent. Let's see. What have I been doing? Just looking forward to some events coming up. I've been kind of hanging close to home. I'm preparing courses for Exo University, that kind of thing. So yeah, I can't think of anything. I haven't gone anywhere lately. Maybe I have. It's almost a blur. I'm so in the now I can't even think behind me. Which is a good thing, but I know that there's probably some good stuff to recall. But yeah, things have been great. What about you? How have you been?
Oh, we've had a few ups and downs here, but not too bad. We, as you can tell, we've shifted gears to a different platform, which actually opened a ton of doors. Literally the next day, that day, and the next day. So yeah, we just kind of. Long story, not worth getting into, but I got to tell you, we finished off with Freedom Reigns on Friday nights, and Saturday we got on with Critical Mass, and we have 7 days a week platform, and other things have already opened up as well with regards to another network with Kyler Davenport. So lots of stuff going on, and it's absolutely mind-blowing.
Awesome, that's great.
And we have, it looks like we have Alfred on the line here too. There we go. I think we have everybody. Alfred, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, good. Wow. The miracle of making it through the technological maze.
Jungle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hi, Alfred. Tony.
Hey there.
Hey. Yeah, I was just sending you some texts on the Skype chat, trying to get you the correct link. But did you manage to get through with the Skype link? Did you?
Yes, I did. I got the Skype link, and I'm really happy that I did. I'm so happy to join you. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Alfred. It's so great to be on the show with you.
Great. Yeah.
Yes, very exciting.
Good. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to just briefly allow you guys a couple of minutes just to go through some information about, obviously we've had Laura on the show before, but because as Kate was saying, we've just changed over to a new network with Critical Mass rather than the old Freedom Reigns network, which has got a long story behind it, but anyway, we won't go there. The point is we've got an excellent platform now, and we've got some new listeners as well. So I wonder if you could give us a bit of information about just a brief background to yourself there, Alfred, and what you've actually done, and where you're actually going with it now to the current day, just for the listeners' benefit, if you would.
Yeah, well, I'm a futurist, and I've been at this actually since 1973. Which I think is, over 40 years. And that is working in the multidimensional kind of framework. And I, have various plateaus. I wrote a book that founded formally the science of exopolitics, which is the science of relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. And we now have a new online university called Exo University, exouniversity.org. Laura is actually one of our faculty, And on February 4th, 2013, we're launching our 2013 academic year with a whole new faculty, whole new courses in exosciences, sci-sciences, and exopolitics. Exosciences being the new quantum access sciences such as teleportation, time travel, all the sorts of things that now are sequestered in the national security states. You either have to be a spy or work for a defense corporation involved with the war industry to get access to this information. So we're offering it. The normal universities do not offer it. And sci-sciences are, that's the Psi-PSI, basically the non-local properties of mind. And that's the study of telepathy, precognition, psychokinesis, but also the survival of human consciousness after bodily death, the afterlife, the scientific study of reincarnation, the study of source, of God. What exactly is God from a scientific point of view? And exopolitics I just spoke about, and this is actually on the model of an open university, i.e., it's for people of any age, from any region of the planet. I've even gotten emails from people in the Islamic world saying, "Oh, is this for everybody, or is it only for Americans?" Which I thought was kind of funny. People 10 years old who have the crystal kids coming in that can handle all of this, and people who are, in their 90s and over 100 who can really handle it also. So that's the sort of work that I've been doing, and it's at exouniversity.org, and our news site is at exopolitics.com.
Excellent. Yeah, we've been looking into this area of exploration ourselves as well. It seems that what's actually happening at the moment is lots and lots of different people are all coming together to form networks and to actually find places where they can go to actually bring this information in through one portal. And that's actually exactly what we've just done ourselves. They say as one door closes, another one opens. We had the door closed quite firmly with Freedom Reigns, which has actually been a blessing, because when that occurred, we thought, right, okay, we've got to pull some rabbits out of some hats somewhere. So I made a few phone calls, and we ended up with Critical Mass, and it actually worked out a lot better because we've got our own platforms, whereas we're only doing between 5 and 7 shows a week, which is quite a bit, but. We've now got 7 days a week, and full reign over the air, so it's awesome. We've started up and affiliated ourselves with Critical Mass Network, and also at the moment we've set up the website, which is Syncrenicity.com, whereby all the traffic's coming through there, and it's creating just that, a portal. So, one of the things that I would like to touch base with you when we get a bit more time later, Alfred, is to maybe incorporate exopolitics into the university as well. So we've got you guys over there and some real experts on the information. That'd be wonderful.
Oh, good enough. Sure. Great. Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're all about connecting, and that applies with you as well, Laura. So the whole idea here is to get as many people of like mind able to, I hate using this word because it's commercial, but advertise who they are through one hub and maintain their beautiful independence. But it's a gathering place where people can springboard in every beautiful direction of truth. That's the concept behind it anyway.
Yeah, it's certainly coming through that way as well. We're having lots of people with lots of different fields, and lots and lots of people are interested in joining the team. So it's all good stuff, and we have got a good team with us as well. So awesome stuff. So, just on this note, before we change over, Alfred, what's been happening? Anything recently that is pretty striking or stands out above the basic news?
Well, we've been following like everybody else, and at the beginning of the year, we have this program that we call the News Live, and it's on every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. GMT, and it's a video show. But we put out the 10 top predictions for 2013, which are really the 10 top transformational trends for 2013. And for me personally, it's been very interesting to then use that as a kind of a map to follow what's actually going on the ground, in various arenas and strands, and it seems to be following, and you can do that just by taking 10 of the major areas and then just projecting what the trends are in each area, and then just seeing how each of those trends are moving forward. But for me, that's been very, very interesting. So, we could use part of the program in looking at those. One of the trends or predictions we actually base on Laura's very deep and prescient writings on the divine feminine.
Oh, that's cool.
Go for it, Laura.
Excuse me?
I was saying go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, so you're saying what? To go through the 10, or to start on them at least?
Yeah, you would just...
okay, good, yeah. Well, look, this is in the style of the David Letterman top 10 list. So you start out with number 10, right? And prediction number 10 of the top 10 for 2013 is the end of the catastrophic timeline. Okay, this kind of has two strands of it. There's a fellow named Raoul Pal, and he put out a prediction which we'll talk about in trend number 9. But he says that the Mayan calendar is actually 6 months behind schedule. He's taking this kind of catastrophic view of the Mayan calendar. And Telmtwaki, that's the end of the monetary system as we know it, and Telmtwaki, these are Mayan words, the end of the world as we know it, is 6 months behind schedule. Well, if you look at 6 months, we're in January 2013, that's June 2013, and June 2013 is when there are these powerful memes that are operating out there that we're going to have a global coastal event that is going to devastate all the coastal cities on the planet. I mean, Washington, D.C. is under 100 feet of water, California's gone, Sydney, Australia, London, I mean, it's all. And these are based on 2 independent science-based probes that have provided some evidence, but not definitive evidence, of a catastrophic timeline for 2013. Now, my prediction is that this is the end of the catastrophic timeline. But just to summarize what the evidence is for a catastrophic timeline in June 2013, and there are people like Dr. Courtney Brown, who's a very eminent scientist with the Farsight Institute, who's walking around saying that we're going to, we're probably going to have a global coastal event in June of 2013. Well, there's a 1971 DARPA chronovisor time travel probe done by a colleague of both Laura's and myself, Andrew D. Bashago. Are you familiar with him, or?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Now, he found, that DARPA probe found the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. under 100 feet of brackish water in 2013. Now, that would mean that Washington is under 100 feet of brackish water, and most probably from a global coastal event, or at least a coastal event along the east coast of the United States. Now, there's a 2010 Farsight Institute remote viewing probe, which is the largest number of military-trained remote viewers in history. And 39% of them found a global coastal event and devastated coastal cities and populations for June 2013. Now, you should note that 29% of the remote viewers had a catastrophic score of 0. Now, in response to this, the U.S. government, going back to 1971, has built a reported 174 deep underground military bases, DUMBs, they're really dumb, for the survival of the New World Order structure and forces, political and economic elite, the U.S. and selected governments, the technocracy, the scientists, medical personnel, U.S. Armed Forces, and police forces, right?
Yes.
So there's that question from a statistical standpoint. So I say, well, what's the best case scenario? Well, this is where Planet X comes in. Is there, you know, that is, what would cause a global coastal event such that the remote viewers in the Farsight Institute and the DARPA study would find these effects? Well, something like a brown dwarf comes in and creates vast solar storms that in turn cause these, and plus all of the cosmic debris, you know, meteorites and things like that.
Yeah.
And but what we published, and I first presented it at the UFO Con conference this past year, is people can go to exopolitics.com, is that there are now photographs by SOHO of planet-sized UFO craft around the sun. And they appear to be doing things like shield, and they're coming out of these triangular portals in the sun, and they appear to be installing shielding mechanisms to shield the solar system and the Earth from solar flares and storms that may be coming in this time. 2012 and 2013 are the solar maximums of solar cycle 24 anyway. And also, this past year in 2012, the Mexican government released these pre-Mayan artifacts that a colleague of mine, Klaus Dona, and also Nassim Haramein vetted. And these are artifacts that show extraterrestrial craft. These are pre-Mayan with these huge planet-sized extraterrestrial craft coming out of triangular portals in the sun, shielding the solar system from these incoming objects, which is exactly what you see in the SOHO photos. So this has happened before. So that's why. Now, and so then there are all these questions that we're on timelines, so that what may have been happening is that the Farsight Institute remote viewers and the chronovisor people were picking up on catastrophic timelines, but we've shifted timelines.
Yes.
So that's why we say that our prediction, despite all these studies, is that in 2010 the catastrophic timeline ends. So I'm going to end there and throw it out to you all for discussion.
Excellent. In fact, there's quite a few things. I'll just go with it. There's quite a few things I wanted to comment on as we walk through that. One of the things is you and Laura and myself and Kate as well are all pretty damn. We're totally and utterly convinced that we have things like anti-gravity, light speed travel, this sort of things, and craft, and we've got naval fleets. For instance, Gary McKinnon came out and he got into the computers, etc., and he disclosed the information of the fleets that we've got out there. We've done the anti-gravity thing. We know we've got it. Professor Jonathan Searle, Hutchinson effect, etc. We know about energy weapons. We know about all these sorts of things. So my point being is, if we've got these fleets of ships out there, these off-world navies, etc., etc., that's one thing. So we have actually got the capability by using energy weapons like similar ones that deatomize concrete and steel, without saying it much more. Professor Judy Wood will explain that one. We've got energy weapons that could vaporize asteroids and meteorites. We also know that Hitler got away from 1936 over to Antarctica with the Hannibal craft and the Nazi Bell programs, etc., etc. So it's not too much of a stretch of an imagination to understand that we have craft out there. Even if it was, we've got people like Anthony John Walson, W-A-L-S-O-N, who videoed and photographed these craft from his back garden in a observatory using technology that he's basically invented himself. But you can see video of these craft up there expanding, contracting, etc. 90% of which at least are pointing outwards. In other words, protecting the Earth or defending the Earth for whatever reason, by whoever, from stuff coming in, stuff, ships, whatever. So we've got the technology out there. So the very first thing that I want to throw into the mix is the fact that if we do get hit by an asteroid, we know damn well who's thrown it. For the simple reason that they are in control out there with these craft and with these navies, and it's not going to be too much of a stretch of imagination, like in, what's his name I'm looking for? Miahan Kesh. Miahan Kesh is anti-gravity and tractor beam technology that the Iranian military have that was used to actually capture the drone that was sent through to spy on Iran. The military in Iran actually captured that drone and brought it down. I was one of the original people to pick up on that way before Kerry, because I let Kerry Cassidy know about that. But the point being, we have this technology. So it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to say that they could tractor beam a meteorite and literally throw it like a pebble into a pond where all those fish are floating around in the pond, and we go, oh my God, what was that? And it can be brushed off as though it was a meteorite. So we've got this tech. So if there's any meteorites that are going to come in here, 9.99.99% recurring, as far as I'm concerned, the guys that are out there with this technology have thrown it in there. Yeah, that's my point of view. Now, one of Kate's point of view is that if we understand this is a possibility, like on the Olympic Games where we got a false flag, if we understand that they're going to pull a false flag, we expose it and we show it up for what it actually is, then it breaks the spell. And this is all about spells. This whole existence about spelling, about words, about magic, around trickery, and the dark magicians that are actually running this stuff, not just from down here, but from out there as well. The same ones that always have been running it. So what my point of view is, if any meteorites turn up, we know exactly who's throwing them in. And I'll just stop there, but there's a lot more points I can add to that. Comments, guys?
Yeah, I like to, kind of look at predictions based on sort of the inner processing and some of the planetary aspects happening, because really how it affects the collective, the dominant way we react to these planetary alignments on a collective level sort of determines the outcome. And of course there's certain levels of, polarity that still exist, in our planetary bodies, the negative polarity being, the lower end of our consciousness being in reaction mode, and on a higher level, when we can, react with action and, positive energy in inspired action, we can, turn things to our favor. So in 2013, there's a predominance of transiting planets in water signs like Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Mars will be transiting Pisces and Cancer, eventually joining Neptune in Pisces, and Jupiter when it enters Cancer in July. So what's interesting is hearing about sort of the larger world picture predictions that have to do with water and floods and things like that. It makes, some bit of sense with all the water signs, but what it also represents is our emotional bodies and the fact that we have a lot more access to our feeling nature, and water is much more fluid. So when we connect to the water energy, reality becomes more fluid, and it's more easily shifted and molded, based on the essence of our emotional bodies and what vibration and frequency that is at. So, because of that, it's a lot about reaction. And Uranus squaring Pluto is happening a few times, which is sort of a rebellious reaction. And I think what we'll be finding is that, there's going to be a lot of events taking place that's going to trigger and provoke action. There's more of the feminine energy. The feminine negative polarity is really being triggered. So this is not about women coming into power based on, the way men have been. It's not about women being patriarchal. It's really about men and women connecting to that, that deeper essence that has been exiled in a lot of ways. And so, even according to NASA, there's going to be a very strong solar flare and coronal mass ejections happening throughout 2013. And it potentially will cause significant damage to our power grids as well as orbiting satellites. And according to the Russian scientist, I don't even know how to say his name, Chivulesky, A.L. Chivesky, they also, have an effect on our excitability and just, the way we react. So that can manifest as rioting. It can also manifest as deep inner processing that can utilize the solar flares for mass awakening in consciousness, which is what the solar energy does. And what's great is if it does affect the power grids, it also affects the electronic controls and the mind control projects and programs that they have been instigating and putting into our world for a long time. So to me, it's just the deeper awareness of our emotional bodies, and hopefully the collective will work that energy without having it have a disastrous reaction that's not going to serve us, but more inspired action that's going to change us on an individual level, which will change our relationships and the way we relate to family and our communities, and it'll start to ripple out and change the vibration and frequency of the planet. And so these solar flares are going to really assist in that. The other option is that people won't take that time, and it's just going to be rioting and, us against them and, more false flags and attacks on us. And so I'm just hoping that, because things could swing either way, that it becomes much more of an inner process where we understand reality is fluid and we can start to be lucid dreamers and utilize this water energy to create mass transformation, because particularly Saturn is being affected by these water planets. Saturn rules false authority structures. It rules, limitation and control. But the higher octave of Saturn is the teacher, and it refines us and it helps us to be anchored and grounded. And so the goal this year is, if we utilize the energies correctly, is to break down the old power structures and rebirth the real authority structure, which is universal law, cosmic law, natural law, and our connection to Mother Earth. And so, with the solar flares and just the way that we react to it, we can deconstruct the matrix and rebuild it through our consciousness, even though we might, freak out because, the attachments we have to energy and power are going to be shifted, and people are going to have to accept that, and that it's a good thing, because really we want to move into free energy and more relationship with the universe and the abundance that the universe naturally provides for us.
Yeah,
couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And again, one of the things that I'm loving that you're bringing to the table here, I had a great chat with Tammy Pepperman tonight, and it's bringing this empathic, compassionate, feminine, the true female energy into focus, and that's the kind of energy that we're wanting to manifest, and that's that beautiful, as you were saying, about the waters of emotion. When you can get enough of us, and there are enough now, I don't see destruction on the planet. I don't see riots. I see enough of us now that finally getting into that heart space, not head space, and focusing on that energy alone. That's exactly where I'm standing, and I'm not yielding. End of story.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
The Uranus-Pluto square is occurring, I think, May 21st, and then again November 1st. Breaks down also all forms of psychological programming, financial domination, and just the barriers that have been existing in our individual lives and in the world. So, this all hits us on such a personal level, and then, of course, that changes the way we emit energy and relate to one another. So I'm definitely leaning towards that, and I really think that people are much more in their hearts. There's so much more compassion, because the truth is coming out, and people are sharing their stories, and it's really touching people. It's not we're not blind anymore to these false flags. We don't have to be in reaction because we understand the game much better than we've ever understood it.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's funny just taking that to a segue, because going back to the top 10, prediction number 3 fits right into that, and it's based on Laura's work and insights and writings. Is prediction number 3 is emergence of the divine feminine, the goddess, and the female. And just to take a sentence, just to kind of get into that, there's a lot here, but quote, and this is from Laura's writing, actually in one of the first interviews that she and I did, unity consciousness and the return of the divine feminine, balanced nutrition, higher love, and wisdom, the pulling of our energy away from feeding the false system and choosing to detoxify, deprogram, and support the causes that count are where we can best direct our energy. It's important to have the realization that we are part of this planetary organism, Gaia, which is essentially the body of the goddess who morphed into the planet and whose womb is both cosmic and earthly. And so I'd like to just put that kind of dimension in, and that multi-dimension is trend number 3 that is going to start more and more. And perhaps, Laura, you'd like to pick up from there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alfred. And what's, so wonderful is that, it really is, on a cosmic level. It's not about women taking over. It's really about union, unity consciousness, men and women working together. And it takes that level of sensitivity to understand the importance of it. So, the focus on the feminine is just that part of our being, that's within all of us, our intuitive side. The right and left brain being in communication together. And the reason there's focus on the feminine is because it's been sort of kicked out of the way. All these distortions, the male and female programmings, have created this whole other, sort of existence that we're running on, that we bring home to us and to our relationships, and it's just not working at all. And it's through osmosis that it's been downloaded to us, from the Illuminati and these mind control programs, and it's completely not natural to us. So for us to just get in touch with our intuition again, into the earth body and the cosmic womb as being the great, birther of new realities, is where our focus definitely should be. And I think, it can be intimidating for some men because they think it's just this big revival of women, or it's women's liberation, or it's something political, but it's not. It's something completely different, and it exists within everybody. But ultimately, it's about balance. It's about the union of masculine and feminine, but without having the attention on, Gaia as the organism, and if we stay in these distortions, we're allowing the artificial holographic matrix to, stay powered, because that's the power. I mean, they use our energy and the earth energy. They've inverted everything in order to vampire it into these systems and technologies. So when we, connect back to the earth and our, our feet chakra, our root, our, just everything, we're drawing upon the prana of the earth body. And in a way, we almost, it takes the juice away from them, and it gives it back to where it belongs, which is us and the planet, and it allows us to be in alignment with everything that's going on, in alignment with the galactic plane and all these, different planetary aspects that are happening that they're absolutely always trying to distract us from. So, yeah. It's just getting into that vibration again. But, it's not about a female figure taking over. It's not so much about that, but it's about appreciating the balance in our political world and everywhere else, in our families, and just, working on our own stuff to initiate that change on a collective level.
Yeah, I so agree with you on many, many different levels, especially that with them interfering with the Earth's sexual energy grid, because, this is one of the reasons why the pyramids have been deactivated and trashed, basically, to stop that cosmic energy getting down into the Earth's grid itself. And, it's all about balance. If we can, like you say, reconnect with the Earth and go out and ground ourselves, literally. I mean, we walk around all the time with shoes and socks on. We should be actually coming into contact with the Earth, and it helps us as a human being anyway. We had a show about energy medicine, about how the electrons flow through us into the Earth and vice versa. And we communicate with the Earth, and this works on many different levels. But yeah, it's all about communication, coming back to how it used to be and not insulated, which is what's happened. They've insulated the entire human race pretty much away from Gaia, away from away from the consciousness of the planet, like you said.
Right, and it's the Christ consciousness, and that's where the unity is. It's both the masculine and feminine, and it's a dance. It's like a cycling alchemical thing, and it takes place within our bodies, and it's the alchemy that utilizes the gold of spiritual energy that helps us to transmute the toxins, the radiation, and all the different things that we've bought into and given our power to, and so yeah, that union is just crucial. Absolutely crucial.
I would like to point out it goes both ways. In the same way that the sun pulls the Earth around in an orbit, the Earth's also having a similar effect on the sun. It's like the moon and the Earth. The Earth pulls the moon pulls the Earth, and thus we dance around each other. So it's a two-way thing. And, I just wanted to give that out there. Energy works both ways.
Yep.
Exactly.
And what's great, it's not about a deity. It's not about, it's about the cosmos. It's about things that we see with our own naked eye. It's nature. It's the planets. It's the cosmos. It's the galactic core. And I think people get really lost when they think it's about certain deities or ascended masters and this and that, because there's been so many so much distortion there that it's good to just walk away from that a little bit and just recognize that these are forces of nature, and all these archetypes exist within us. Lucifer, the devil, the Christ consciousness, the goddess. And it's up to us to work these energies into harmony so that the most dominant force that, dominates our creative energy and intentions is coming from the highest place. And utilizing the rest of it as a sort of recycling, regenerative tool because it represents darkness. But these lower entities, instead of being in rulership, are, put in their place. It's like, a human organism, the oneness of the human organism has to balance all its organs. No matter how diverse they are, they have to work together. And that's the same kind of thing with archetypes. If they're all split apart and, there's blame over here and praise over there, we're splitting ourselves. And we just need that wholeness and unification to have them all, utilize the roles in a harmonious way. And if we look outside of ourselves for these things to be restored, then we're losing the inner work that we need to be focusing on, which is, creating that kind of archetypal harmony.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, all about balance. Carry on, Kate.
Yeah, I was going to say that to me is the unity consciousness in terms of a unity experience versus, as you were saying, Laura, with praise and blame, creating a duality instead of seeing the singularity of the experience and taking out of it in balance. I mean, we've talked about this many times in the past. The system does this, the system does that, in terms, and we can look outside ourselves and blame the system. But what most people won't do is, blame themselves in being a part of it. And again, there's that exterior blaming outside instead of spending the time inside to get that balance back. So, I mean, you can talk about the system being evil. However, the good, because there's good and evil in everything, the good is it snapped a lot of us out of it. That's the rude awakening. It's you can call it waking up from a nightmare, and what we're in right now is that mid-sleep where we're finally coming out of that deep I of this holographic illusion, and now we're starting to recreate this universe the way I see it, for me anyway, the way it should be, bringing back that compassion aspect where we work together instead of competing. Competing's old.
Yeah, that whole egoic structure is archonic, and that's not healthy at all.
Yeah, it's like the body when you get disease. It's not the disease exists because of the imbalance. It's because everything's not balanced, and you perfectly hit the nail on the head. Every organ operates in the body at a different frequency, and if you've got an imbalance of that balance, then you've got dis-ease. That's why it's called dis-ease. All you need to do is rebalance it, and you'll correct all those dis-eases. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely there's been intrusions, we've been attacked, we've been taken advantage of. When the Earth, the Gaia body was developing, and, there was all sorts of explosions that shook things up. These beings just saw us in a state of, confusion because the polar, the planet kind of fell off of its axis a little bit, and so all these beings, took advantage of it and wanted to take control. And now that we're back into alignment with the galactic plane, that doesn't need to happen anymore. And it's like Gaia was traumatized, and we can relate to that when we're traumatized. It takes a little while to get back to center, but once we do, everything flows much easier if we can rescue our minds from the beliefs that we may have adopted in the process.
Absolutely, that's what it's about, coming back to full consciousness. This is the point. We've been in a very, very deep sleep. We've been asleep at the wheel. It's been an absolute nightmare. And I'm glad Kate mentioned it the way she did, because what's actually happened is we've allowed them to actually control us by our own, what's the word I'm looking, acquiescence. In other words, we can try and blame the system all we want, but we allowed the system. We're the ones that are holding up the pyramid. So what we've got to take away is our acquiescence to the system. We've got to stop paying for the bombs and the bullets that are blowing up kids and children in wars and stuff. We've got to stop acquiescing to our own destruction, because that's exactly what it is. They basically are trying to walk away karmically free because we're the ones that pulled the trigger. And the people that paid for the taxes, that bought the guns and the bullets and the triggers and paid for all the other stuff, are complicit just as much as, well, not just as much, but we are indeed complicit in the outcome. And that is, you export war, you get war back. You go and do these things to people, you've got to expect them back. And they step out of the karmic circle free and clear, because it's on our karmic debt, if you like.
Right.
So anyway, it's just coming to consciousness, coming to awakeness with that, and to awareness with that. Like you say, we've got to get back into balance. And I don't think a lot of these negative things that we're talking about, asteroids hitting and massive tidal waves, none of these things really need to occur. Because, as I said before, there's many things in this world, and one of the oldest and most famous sayings is like, the whole world is but a stage. Now, the fact is, can you understand what that means? That means that we've got these technologies, we've got, as Alfred said, teleportation, we've got colonies on Mars and loads of other planets, the ringmakers of Saturn. If you look at some of this information, oh my God, when you do some research and you understand the true level of technology we've got, then it just blows your mind. There's no need for disease, no need for poverty, no need for war, no need for destruction, no need for financial collapse. Just by making cannabis legal, they can raise enough plumbing taxes and pay off the national debts. You know what I mean? Without opening up the rest of space travel, and oh my God, the amount of gold that's on Mars. If you go to my Facebook channel, you'll see a link there to Mars and anomalies.com. There's gold all over the surface of Mars. So, all these things are constructs that are built as to house us. And that's the truth. We need to come to grips with this, and we go, we're not going to fall for it anymore. If there are asteroids, well, you chucked them in there. Do you see what I'm saying? If there are false flags, you did it because we've been watching you do it. You released the information in the Batman movie, or you released it in, Terminator 2 with 9/11, etc. It's just all there if we just choose to look. But most people now are beginning to look. They're getting it already. And that's the biggest fear, because if people get it, then even if they do pull it off, another false flag, let's say that's what I mean by it, then we know they've done it, and we know how they've done it, and we know the levels of technology they have got in order to do these things. And once everybody else gets it, then they're just shooting themselves in the foot, because they'll be blatant.
Totally. Yeah, because they're advancing just based on technology. It's, spirit is the immune system of everything. It shifts everything, and because they refuse to redeem themselves or be on an ascension path, it's all the technology, and it's thrown us completely out of balance. Because like in Atlantis, technology was progressing way more than spiritual consciousness, and so all of us, that are working this energy are bringing it into balance, just like the divine feminine coming into balance with the masculine. Spirituality is coming into balance with technology. And we can balance the two more rather than have one, play God, which would be technology in their book.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. A lot of that term technology, they actually pulled up from Atlantis, didn't they? It was all a lot of it was based on magnetism, which is, again, another thing that harps back to when you were saying about all the electricity grids going down if there's a solar flare. Well, the only reason we've still got electricity grids is because they want them to go down in the solar flare. If we've got if we've all got small Tesla towers in the back of our garden, we download free energy from 0 point. We won't need power lines. We won't need all of this stuff. The only reason we've got it is because they're keeping the technology away from us in order to lead us straight into this trap. And we're discovering all their different means and how they plan to do it at light speed at the moment. It's awesome.
This is what I love about Alfred's work, because, he's one of the most integrated journalists and beings that I know, because he puts his foot in every place. And the fact that he just gives so much credit to the divine feminine energy, and then has, so much attention on everything going on in the world and all these technologies and the Mars colony, it's like, he really pulls it all together, and I so deeply appreciate that about him. He doesn't, miss any of the multidimensional aspects and factors that really count right now, and this is what's so great about this show, because obviously, there's a powerful resonance here with that, and that's why you have us on. Yay!
Yay! Well, yeah. Could I jump in here?
Go for it.
Yeah. And so just following the flow here, and spirit being the immune system of everything, and as we ascend in frequency, all of the matrix is going to be going through a breakthrough process, and that is that complex systems go through breakthrough. That's how they evolve. So prediction number 9 is the beginning of the breakthrough in the global financial system. That is, how goods and services and value and money and work and labor and rent and mortgages and houses and all of that, because this is a planet of money. We're still at a state of evolution on this light-bearing planet where money is used, and money is actually has been used as a medium of indebtedness and imprisonment rather than a medium of liberation. And so we have the observation of Raoul Pal, who co-manages. He was the co-manager of CLG Global Macro Fund in London, one of the largest hedge fund groups in the world. And this is his quote: "The 10 largest debtor nations have total debts of over 300% of the world gross domestic product." That's the size of the debt. However, this is nothing in comparison to the $70 trillion in G10 debt, that's the top 10 nations, as collateral for $700 trillion in derivatives. This is all the script that the financial sector has written, on script. And this equates to 1,200% of global gross domestic product, i.e., they've created indebtedness in the amount of 1,200% of global gross domestic product. And, quote, "This worst prediction is catastrophic collapse is already beyond help." So it looks like it's a complex system that is going through breakthrough, and that's the global financial system. So we came out with 7 steps to transform the global economy, and to get away from the debt prison, money is debt, and to get toward a vision of money as a public utility. The same thing as money is like electricity and water. It's money. You just need it to function. And so, the common good should, in the way that it provides electricity and water, it provides money so people can start their own businesses, and there isn't imprisonment associated or debt associated with money, but rather empowerment. It's like money is like water, electricity. It's a public utility. So, very briefly, the 7 steps to transform the global economy, and these have gone worldwide. Step 1 is abolish the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, and this was founded as a false flag by the City of London bloodline bankers led by the Rothschilds and Warburgs. They came over and created the false bank panic of 1907, then set up a private central bank known as the Federal Reserve Bank. There's nothing federal about it. It's all the banks that own Federal Reserve are owned by the Rothschild family. And there's a 1975 U.S. Senate subcommittee report that proves that. And what this means is that the U.S. government and the U.S. dollar has been set as the international medium of exchange. So it means that one family controls the international medium of exchange. And it means that when the U.S. government issues a dollar, they can't issue it, although they have the constitutional power under the Constitution, which it was designed of the U.S. Treasury to issue currency, which John Kennedy was the last one to do so, and 2 months later after he did it, he was assassinated, probably for that. The U.S. government has to borrow the money from the Federal Reserve. So they were giving a monopoly through a legislative fraud passed in the Christmas holidays, signed by a compromised president that the bankers owned, Woodrow Wilson. So step 1 is to abolish the Federal Reserve. Step 2 is to create a U.S. central bank and all central banks as a public utility. Step 3 is to end the power of private banks, credit companies, to create debt and fractional reserve lending. Right now, banks create money out of nothing. They just take a computer and they just create it. Why? Because we have given them the power to create money and to put us in prison, in debtor's prison. And have central banks as public utilities to provide money, credit, and banking for the population. That's what, for example, the Bank of Canada, although that power isn't used here, has in its power, and what the constitutional banks in the U.S. Treasury has in the Constitution. Step 5 is that the U.S. government and all governments default on debt obligations brought about by the policies of the Federal Reserve. Step 6 is forgiveness of all public and private debt worldwide. And step 7 is a financial war crimes tribunal. So we're just melting down the money system. The money is debt, and the money is private property of a banking consortium of bloodline financial war criminals, and starting anew with an entirely new system. And there are some very, very creative proposals. So that is one way to begin, and there have been bills already introduced into the U.S. Congress to abolish the Fed. So it's not anything new. And so this is a way, say in the 2013 to 2025 time horizon, to really get out of what I call the Anunnaki Illuminati exploitative hierarchy that has imprisoned us inside the money system. So that's prediction number 9.
Cool. Do you want to carry on with 10 just for a second? Yeah.
Sorry?
Prediction number 10, top 10.
Oh, well, 10 is one that we started with. 10 was the end of the catastrophic timeline.
Right.
And then 9 was the beginning of the breakthrough of the global financial system. And Do you want to go through them, or?
No, that's fine. That's fine. One of the main things I wanted to pick up on, though, is that what Kate and I have been uncovering is that the money itself is a tool in the construct. It's a bit like it's a tool.
A tool.
A tool. Yeah, it's like religion.
Right.
If somebody's got Christianity, then they, you know, the 9 times out of 10 they won't convert to Islam and vice versa and all this sort of stuff. But one of the things that we found out, as I say, is the basis of religions and what religions do, why they're there, etc. Now, one of the things that we've come to the conclusion of is basically that, as we said, religion is a tool of the construct. In other words, the opiates of the masses. And also, same as money. Money is also a tool of control, because if you've got money, you can afford stuff. If you haven't got money, you can't. So then we have to look at, well, hang on a minute, what's all this multi-trillion, gazillion, mega amounts of money, debt, that's apparently gone somewhere that nobody can find it anymore because it's all vanished. What's it all based on? Well, we can look at gold, we can look at oil, we can look at, even things like diamonds and things that are so-called valuable. But what we actually look when we really have a look, we find that if you couple just the truth with the resources, you'll find that there's no shortage of anything. There's no shortage of diamonds, there's no shortage of gold, there's no shortage of, we don't need oil. We've got 0-point energies, or energy out of the 0 point. We've got magnets that we can use to draw more energy than we could possibly need. We could use electrolysis to separate hydrogen and water, which brings me on to several of your points earlier, 1 through to 4, I believe, which is free energy from water, so that we've got free travel, we've got free heating, we've got free lighting, we've got free drinking water that we can use, and electricity, etc. And that all itself comes from water. So, there's no need to pay an electric bill, there's no need for a gas bill or an oil bill. This stuff isn't really in existence once we start to tell the truth. And so if we start to tell the truth, we'll figure out that all this money is paper, and the paper is debt, and the debt isn't really based on anything because there's no shortage of anything. We've been lied to about the shortage of all these things, which is based the financial system upon a lack of one thing or another. So you remove the lack of, and then automatically there's no need for a lack of anything, and therefore there's no need for a financial system, pretty much.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Carry on. Yeah, all I was going to say really, which wipes out the whole financial money system as a farce in the first place, just on that basis alone. Carry on. Yeah,
it's produced so much addiction and just, the fear of scarcity and just the attachment to the material in excessive forms that are beyond what we even need. And so, money as being a form of control has, created this sort of superficial nature that, is chasing something that sort of supplements an emptiness that people have disconnected from within themselves, where the real abundance is, where bliss is just the state of mind that we carry, and that, love is the fulfilling currency rather than more stuff and, the competition of status and just the division that creates. I mean, it's just all been so strategically set up to, addict us to, the senses, far more than just meeting our basic needs. And so the extremes are just, poverty to, great wealth. And unfortunately, when the money system collapses, they have a backup plan, which is, the chips, the RFID, and just, tagging us with these barcodes and using a different form of currency. And this is the thing, they're able to simulate, different events and see how the collective is going to respond, and then come up with sort of a backup plan that for some seem like a positive solution that actually is still coming from the same place. And that's, what transhumanism agenda, does. Where geoengineering and everything breaks us down to the point of, ill health and everything. And then these scientific breakthroughs come in, seeming to come and save the day, when in actual fact, it's that whole dynamic of abuse and then the rescuer and the savior, like the terrorists and then the leaders, and just, where something is created in order to bring in a solution that's just as false as the whole problem and false flag to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Stockholm Syndrome.
They've been hiding it all along. It's called problem, reaction, solution. Yeah.
So we just have to be careful when certain things collapse, that we don't look to them with the solution, that we look to each other. And Michael Tellinger has, the Ubuntu movement. I don't know, Alfred, if you want to talk about that at all, or if anybody knows about that, but that's, he's set up something completely based on no money and just, bartering our skills and talents and just, it's just a really awesome movement that he's developed to help us wean ourselves off of the money system before we have to fall into whatever trap that they have set up for us.
Absolutely. Carry on, Alfred.
Sorry?
We've basically got to be weaned off the traps that they're leading us straight into. As I say, this is what Laura was saying, and she's absolutely correct. Once we're conscious of the traps and the fact that they're trying to lead us into them, the traps won't work anymore, and that's where we need to get to. Instead of just stampeding like cattle when they let the dogs out, which is exactly what they want, we've got to start chasing the dogs, basically, and turn it 180 degrees round. And that's the position where we're going to have to get to, and it's all about consciousness. If people are consciously aware that these are the constructs and how we can actually deal with those constructs, just by becoming conscious of what they are, and basically saying, no, we're not playing the game anymore, and we're not going to conform, I think is the word, and that's the point. This game's up, the system's done. It needs to come down gracefully.
Yeah, I was going to say, and every day, people are waking up every minute of the day worldwide. So what might not appear to be something moving quickly, I assure you it is moving very solidly. And, what's happening now is exactly what Laura was talking about earlier with resonance frequencies. And when we get into a position, and it is key for those listening tonight and for those of us yapping here, to maintain that high frequency, to maintain that level of compassion, to become the dominant frequency, where once we hold this position, that's all we have to do. All you have to do is hold on, because eventually, science, if you want to get into the resonance, proves it time and time again. The dominant frequency in any environment brings up or down all frequencies around it, and that's someone had mentioned in one of the Skype rooms earlier with regards to some of the ads that are coming out and whatever, and the extreme fear porn that they're pouring out. And for me, that's just indicative of the system's fear and knowing its own demise is here now. And they're going to pull out every plug they can, and in the process, all they're going to do is awaken more and more people to exactly what has been going on, that has been hidden for so long, that is finally coming into the light of day.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura, do you want to say a couple of things? Because I understand you've got a leisure, as it were.
Yeah, I have to sign off a little bit early. I'm just really grateful to have had the chance to come on. This is just a great topic, and I know the rest of the show is going to be amazing because Alfred's just got such incredible information. So thank you for having me. It's been really wonderful.
Oh, Laura, anytime. And please, we'll throw the invitation at you regularly. People love to hear you talk. I love to hear you talk. You bring a beautiful resonance to exactly what it is we're trying to accomplish. So please understand that there isn't a door. We removed it.
Oh, that's so great. I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, everybody.
Love you. Take care.
Speak soon. Bye. Like I say, that's the point. All these different things that held up, like the financial system, that were all based on lack of, they're disappearing down the plug hole. So it's all about truth, and it's the truth that will set us free. So that's where we need to go. And do you want to comment on that, Kate?
Sorry, broke up a little bit there. What was that again, Tony?
I was just saying it's the truth that will set us free. It's all right taking one fictitious system of trillions of debt and pushing that down the toilet and then coming up with a new one, but there's no need for one in the first place as long as we start basing it on the truth and, with integrity and the real information that's been hidden from us and the real technologies. So that's where we need to start, is by talking about the truth of the whole situation in the first place, in my opinion.
Well, no, I totally agree on that. And what we're dealing with here, once we get into a position where these technologies, and Laura hit a key point again there, in where man has become dependent upon these technologies, or as it looks, morphing into that transhumanism, wherein for me the reality is, look at it in the mirror, that these are things that we can use. Not to be a part of. It's hard to put this into words. It's where we can control them and utilize the technologies instead of the technologies owning us, and that's more of what's been happening lately. Now, we already have the zero-point energy technologies. We have Tesla. We have Keshe. We have Dave Lapointe now brings a whole new, beautiful universal paradigm to the game, and these are the tools that create the confidence and the knowledge of knowing that we don't have to be dependent upon this whole lack and loss nonsense mentality, where the shortage and which is absolute crock of shite. When you look at this universe, please, shortage? Are you kidding me? Destroying the planet, ripping the trees down and pulling the veins of gold and silver out of Mother, emptying her bowels of the oil that she needs to lubricate the tectonic plates. That is self-destructive, and once this and so many others have of literally creating matter out of thin air, there's no more need or demand to go out and slave for 40 hours a week for somebody else to profit off your back, not only in the monetary sense, but in the spiritual draining of vampirism, of that lack of creation. Because I guarantee you, 99% of the people out there don't go to work because they love their job. They go to work because they love to actually be able to stay alive long enough, to go to work the next day. So that's where we got to change things. And once this technology gets into mainstream, that's where I see a true spiritual paradigm shift, because there is no more dependence on system to tell us what it is that we need to have and what we're lacking and all the rest of it. This is where we can take control of our own lives and our own situations.
You're not going to need a passport to zip around the planet in 3 seconds in a UFO of your own with your own anti-gravity and free energy fuels that operate on 0 point. So passports are going to be out the window, so are driving licenses and all the rest of the rubbish. And as for resources and basing financial systems on gold, oil, even drugs, all this stuff, it's completely out the window. Because if you just, and Alfred makes this point very clear, that we do have technology to go to Mars. We do have off-planet, capabilities. Ben Rich of Lockheed Skunk Works program actually turned around, as we keep saying, and said, we have the technology to take ET home. Well, in that case, we have the technology, if you really need all that gold, to go and mine some of the stuff that's sitting on the surface of Mars. If you really need a financial system that's based on gold, well, I suggest you go up there and use some of the technology that we know we've got, and we'll go and get some, and then you can base it on that. If you really want to. But the point is, there's an abundance of it, so you best to look at that one. Again, the financial system is a construct. The energy shortage is a complete pack of lies. There is no shortage of 0 point. It doesn't exist. Even if it did, we've got enough water on the planet to use electrolysis to convert it into hydrogen and oxygen and power all the electricity and fuel needs that we need. So it's all built on a pack of lies. And it's on exposing those lies and exposing the truth about all of this that we need to start with. And then we can start building on the truth and get a solid bedrock of where we're going to build and how we're going to build it. That's a financial debt. There wouldn't be one if you just legalized cannabis alone and paid. And cannabis, I'm not talking about it as, hey, dude, get stoned. I'm talking about the truth and the medical benefits of curing cancers and all the other stuff that cannabis could benefit humanity with. The revenues that could be raised on that are phenomenal, let alone the fact that we could travel off-world and get technologies that have been left by other races that have visited these planets. And they're scattered all over Earth, let alone all over the other planets. So, of course, it comes back to the same obvious, absolutely obvious conclusion: we're in a construct. So guess what? We need to pull the walls down and start again. Opinions, Alfred?
Yes.
Sorry?
Opinions, Alfred. Laura had brought up Tenninger. Just wondering if what information you have regarding what's going on with him. I haven't touched base with what he's been doing in a little while. Just curious if you had any insider info on that.
Yeah, sure. Actually, Michael invited both Laura and I down to both the UFO conference in Johannesburg, where we spoke in November of 2011, and then we went on an amazing journey to Adams Calendar, which is just south of Johannesburg. It's a site that's 280,000 years old, which is the reported site where the Anunnaki landed and did their base there. It's kind of a calendric site, and from where they built a system that goes all the way up to the northern border, and has a system for teleporting the gold that was mined there back up to their ships or to their planet, and basically nothing has changed on this planet for 280,000 years since the Anunnaki landed and interfered with the Homo sapiens experiment, where we were designed as 12-strand DNA light beings in the third dimension, and the Anunnaki, using advanced sound technologies, were able to dumb down our DNA to 2-strand and thereby make us consciousness slaves and into the wage slaves where we are. And all of the monarchies and governmental forms that now exist are patterned on the Anunnaki rulers that were interlopers starting 280,000 years ago. And this really ties into predictions, and I'll just kind of combine them. Predictions numbers 8 and 7, which again are part of the breakthrough process. One really deals with the British monarchy and the City of London, and the other with the U.S. Constitutional state. And I'll deal with the U.S. first, prediction number 8, and then go on to the British monarchy. But prediction number 8 is the beginning of the breakdown of the U.S. New World Order captured police state and the breakthrough of reclaiming of the constitutional republic by the American people. And we have showed that the U.S. presidency has been captured by a CIA time travel apparatus that pre-identifies U.S. presidents and co-opts them into assets of a global New World Order regime. For example, Barack Obama, whose legal name is Barry Soetoro, was pre-identified by CIA time travel in 1971. And Obama himself is a lifelong CIA asset. And now he's doing things like signing the National Defense Authorization Act of 2013, which in essence nullifies the Bill of Rights under the U.S. Constitution, where any U.S. citizen can be named a terrorist just arbitrarily and deprived of any civil rights to trial. Any charges can be held indefinitely. Yep. And Obama himself participated and benefited by all major New World Order false flag operations during his tenure, including HAARP, Hurricanes Isaac and Sandy, which were the HAARP hurricanes that actually reinsured his reelection. He statistically, Hurricane Sandy was steered into the U.S. coast in New Jersey 10 days prior to the election, and at that point his approval rate had dropped precipitously from 53% to 46%. No sitting U.S. president whose approval rate was below 50% had ever gotten re-election. As soon as that was steered, and people can go to exopolitics.com and see all of the reasons why Hurricane Sandy was a HAARP hurricane. Obama was able to go into the commander-in-chief role, and his ratings went over 50% just prior to the election, and he was re-elected. And there were other false flags. The BP oil spill was a false flag. Basically, yep. Sorry?
Yes.
We could get into a lot of detail, but the MK Ultra State Terror Act, Sandy Hook, this is Hurricane Sandy, Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook was put into the Batman movie, was the 19th CIA mass assassination psyop. And in order to counteract the Second Amendment, which was where the citizens have the right to bear arms in order to forestall a tyrannical government, which the New World Order is. And so the CIA has implemented an MK Ultra mass assassination psyops in order to disarm the population. And Obama participated in Sandy Hook and all of the other psyops. And he has routinely used the 9/11 false flag psyop to justify the police state in the U.S. Moreover, Obama has supported the Federal Reserve Bank's debt currency private central bank controlled by the City of London bankers. And Obama, as Clinton, as the two Bushes, and most of the recent U.S. presidents are in fact agents of the British Crown and the City of London in its attempt to bring down the American Republic and reverse the American Revolution and bring the U.S. into the British Commonwealth or neutralize it. So that's part of a breakthrough process where the people are finally waking up to the fact that 9/11 was done by the British Crown and by the City of London. People can go to, your listeners can go to exopolitics.com and download a 350-page well-documented book called Dope Inc., which documents going back to the reign of George III that started Dope Inc., centered around God, gold, oil, and drugs, and that where this was centered in the British Crown, certain of the British aristocracy and the City of London bankers, bloodline bankers, started with exporting opium from India into China and brought down China. George III wanted to do an opium war against the American Revolution. They weren't able to do it then, but they ran an opium war against the U.S. in the Vietnam War, which was a phony war. That was actually to addict the underclasses, the youth and the blacks and others, to heroin, which was imported from the Golden Triangle in the body bags of the American soldiers. Pan American Airways had that contract, and I know about that because I was a Wall Street lawyer at the time working for the firm that had that represented Pan American Airways, and I worked on the Pan Am account at that point. And so all the false flags 9/11. Basically, the British Crown and the City of London bankers control the worldwide HARP complex, which is 17 HARP installations around the world. That was central to the 9/11 false flag in terms of bringing down the World Trade Centers. I know you mentioned Dr. Judy Wood. I know her well. She doesn't go that far, but you can go to our website at ecologynews.com and see Loren Murray's scientific analysis of why it is more probably than not that HARP was the instrument that caused the molecular dissociation of the World Trade Center towers. And other false flags, the Hurricane Katrina was really done as an attack on the Gulf Coast area to depopulate that area, and followed up by the BP oil spill, followed up in the Obama years by Hurricane Isaac and Sandy, the two bookends to get him reelected. Hurricane Isaac was right at the beginning of the campaign in the Republican convention, and Hurricane Isaac was steered directly into Tampa, Florida, into the convention center, which is where they were holding the Republican convention. So they had to shut it down for the first day, and they couldn't get the bounce. And then Hurricane Sandy was at the end of the campaign, so that Obama would appear as the commander-in-chief, saving the day, and his numbers would go back up over 50%. And then the Fukushima event was really the HARP and the City of London bombing. I call it the blood wedding gift. It was done at the time of the wedding of Prince William, the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate, who we believe is being set up to be the first Zionist king. Both William and Kate are Rothschilds by blood, and he's being set up to be the first Zionist king. If you look at the protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is masquerading as a false document, that they've been moving them in at that level. And just this past week, there was announced an MP to introduce a bill which will allow, if the Queen steps down, will functionally allow William to become king. So this was prediction number 7, and that is basically the breakthrough process of the British Crown, City of London, and their false flag state, the state of Israel. Together they form an international war crimes racketeering organization that owns 26% of the landmass of the planet, owns all of the uranium, starts all of the wars, and started the Federal Reserve System, which brought us World War I, World War II, 150 wars, all financed by the City of London, brought us HARP, disaster capitalism, false flags of 9/11, Katrina, Sandy Hook, the HARP earthquake of Haiti, in which now 300,000 people died. That is 1.5 times again as died at Hiroshima. And in fact, the latest figures are 300,000, which is twice the number of people died at Hiroshima than died at Hiroshima. Twice the number of people died in the HARP bombing earthquake in Haiti, that we called the Vancouver, BC Winter Olympics. What they do is they time some of these earthquakes around the Olympics. That's why we had the May 2008 China earthquake, in which 80,000 people died, in order to keep the vibe of the planet down. And the 2010 Winter Olympics were here in Vancouver. The Governor General of Vancouver, who represents the Queen in Canada, was a Canadian of Haitian birth, and at the time, the government of Haiti was resisting efforts by Rothschild-controlled companies to gain access to gold deposits and oil deposits beneath the island of Hispaniola, controlled by Haiti. They unleashed the tectonic warfare, the earthquake warfare, directed at the capital, decimated the presidential palace, destroyed the government of Haiti, killed 300,000 people. They still are living in rubble with cholera, and the contracts were signed, and they have access to all of this gold, and so it's HARP, disaster capitalism. That whole system will be going through breakdown, breakthrough, and through exposure, and it'll be the end of the 280,000 year reign of the Anunnaki Illuminati exploitative hierarchy, and you can go to exopolitics.com and see interviews by experts as to how Prince William is being set up as the first Zionist king. Now, we may have a period, say, of 2013 to 2015-16, in which we'll have sort of a maximal flowering of the New World Order. The top three, what we like to call it upper theater, the top three personages in New World Order upper theater, they're the only persons who've been allowed to speak in Westminster Hall, which is kind of the temple of the New World Order, are the Pope, the Queen, and the Obama. And they are kind of the top three personages. And there's books, I'm looking at a book here, it's quite good, that parses out in terms of hermeneutics under the book of Revelation, for example, that the Pope and the Vatican are the Antichrist. The British Crown, in terms of Prince William, the Pope and the Vatican is the false prophet. The British Crown, in terms of Prince William, is the Antichrist, and Obama is sort of a Saint John the Baptist, a forerunner of an Antichrist figure. This is what I call upper theater, or the kind of archetypal realm of the New World Order.
Yes, it actually says on the Queen's crest. There's a thing out there done by Max Eigen, and I remembered years ago seeing it, how the Queen was actually responsible for bringing in the reincarnation of the Antichrist, to put the Antichrist in a position of power, and it's actually on the Queen's own crest. So she's been advertising it long enough. Everybody's been warned.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alfred. Carry on.
Yeah. No. So that is part of the process that is going on now. This kind of breakdown, breakthrough process, and that's what these predictions are about, and the intertwining of, and in terms of the New World Order, the way that the U.S. and the UK crown are intertwined is through Obama, who's kind of a subsidiary figure to the Queen and to the Pope. And the Queen is kind of the British crown, and the Pope are aligned through the secret treaty of Verona, in which the Pope assumed kind of a ruling political position over all of the monarchies. And these are all satanic realms. And the theory of this is that we live on a satanic planet, or a planet that has been satanic, that is controlled by anti-source sort of interdimensional entities, and that we're in the process of transitioning out of that now, but that this period coming up now over the next 3 to 4 years is paradoxically both the flowering of the New World Order and its end.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is the point about getting this information out now so people can be aware of it so that they can make a decision. The more successful we are about getting the information out there, the more people can hear it, the more we will be empowered to do something about it rather than just sit back and let it happen. Complete agreement with you, Alfred, on all
that. Right. We can go on to some of the other predictions here. Predictions 6 and 5 deal with the issue of extraterrestrial disclosure. And prediction 6 is that the U.S. government will continue to suppress extraterrestrial disclosure, even while more Mars whistleblowers come forward. And many of the gatekeepers within the, quote, exopolitics UFO community, end of quote, are exposed as hard or soft meme operatives for the ET cover-up. For example, just today, someone online took it upon themselves to publish a list of, quote, the 50 top truthers, right? Mm-hmm. And I posted a comment saying that I respect many of the people on there, but a large number of them are gatekeepers. They aren't truthers in the sense that they're publishing disinformation.
Exactly.
You know, so this is the very thing. Now, the core reasons for the U.S. government cover-up of its 40-year relationship with a human extraterrestrial civilization under the surface of Mars, which is actually the most concrete case of extraterrestrial relations by the United States, include the following. Number one, President Barack Obama's CIA training in the U.S. threat assessment of the Martian civilization. This is when, in the 1980s, when Obama was 18 years old, when he was first initiated into the CIA, he was given a copy of the U.S. threat assessment of the Martian civilization and asked to write an essay on it. Number two, Obama participated in the 1980s Mars Jumper program, and it was a chronographic device through which Obama visited Mars. And in fact, on January 3rd, 2012, Tommy Vietor, who's the official spokesperson of the U.S. National Security Council. The U.S. National Security Council is the highest council of the U.S. government dealing with national security matters. It includes the President, the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor, and its spokesperson, Tommy Vietor. And he came out and publicly denounced to Wired.com an article that I had published stating that on the basis of two whistleblowers, Andrew DiBasciago and Brett Stillings, that Obama had been to Mars. And it's unprecedented that the official spokesperson of the National Security Council would come out and denounce my article and deny my article that way. And the Examiner.com unlawfully broke its consulting contract with me, saying I had published, quote, false information, whereas I had not. I was among the highest ranking political reporters, widest read political reporters at the Examiner when that article came out. So that's the level of the cover-up of this that's going on. And what's happening is that the U.S. government right now, the way that it's grown is that it, through the doctrine of what they call manifest destiny, is that it's claimed territories like it did with Puerto Rico, Guam. It tried to do it with Cuba. It was not successful. It tried to do it with the Philippines in the Spanish-American War of 1898, but they were unsuccessful. And what they're doing now is trying to incorporate Mars as the 51st state in direct violation of the UN Outer Space Treaty of 1967, and of course the Moon Treaty, which classifies all celestial bodies in the solar system. No one can claim them. So we know about all of this because they're courageous Mars whistleblowers that have come forward. Andrew D. Basiago, William Brett Stillings, Bernard Mendez, Michael Relf, Arthur Neumann, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, and others are starting to come forward. So that's kind of a summary of prediction number 6. Any comments?
Well, yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. Just keep going. This is exactly the kind of show I love, to get the truth out, and yeah, just go to town.
Okay, so now we go to prediction number 5, which is kind of the yin-yang opposite of that, and that is that the Russian government appears that it's going to continue to promote extraterrestrial disclosure, even though one of the largest extraterrestrial groups to be working and living on planet Earth right now are the Martian humans, brought to Earth through a cooperative strategic relationship with the U.S. CIA and Department of Defense. And you'll find now, just go on the internet, and Russian operatives, they kind of pose as YouTube users, are releasing Soviet-era KGB films of ETs. And just recently, the Russian Prime Minister Medvedev stated, quote, "Along with a briefcase with nuclear codes, the president of the country is given a special top-secret folder. This folder in its entirety contains information about extraterrestrials who visit our planet. Along with this, you're given a report of the absolutely secret special service that exercises control over extraterrestrials on the territory of our country. More information on this topic you can get from a well-known movie called Men in Black." That's not the Hollywood Men in Black, but it's a Russian version of the Men in Black. And if you want to watch that, you can go to exopolitics.com and see it there. And he says, this is the ex-president of Russia, now prime minister, says, "I will not tell you how many of them are among us because it may cause panic." So that's a comparison of what's going on between, at the government level, between Russia and the U.S. And one of the prime reasons, as we stated, for the U.S. cover-up is that it's trying to colonize Mars and get control of all the minerals on Mars. Think of that, your own private planet.
Yeah, absolutely. I did come across that Russian clip. The Prime Minister was actually he wasn't off air, but he was off broadcasting. In other words, they weren't broadcasting at the time, but he was in the studio. Yeah. And he was actually kitted up with his microphone and that, and they were waiting to go on air or something, or they'd just gone for a break or something like that. And he was caught, and it was translated. So it is one of the things that I picked up on quite a while back now. But yeah, he's admitted it, but it's not just them. I mean, when people start doing some research, you'll find that the Ministry of Defense have literally gone public quietly, but they have gone public and said, well, the reason we don't tell anybody is because not only are they here, but they've been here for a very, very long time. In fact, the reality is they've been here pre the human race, because then you need to start taking it even deeper still into who are we? Why, where did we come from? How did we turn up here all of a sudden? How come we've got DNA that's spliced together, and it's also DNA that's spliced with a humanoid species, and our DNA isn't even of this planet? So how did that happen? And it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes. And that leads into prediction number 4. Prediction number 4 is the falling away of religions and the emergence of spirituality and science. The mainstream religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, to differing extents, have been co-opted as political and financial institutions based on cosmological beliefs that are not necessarily scientifically correct. Many religions are in fact memes started by and promoted by extraterrestrial and interdimensional interventions in our dimensions. The classical example is Mormonism, which was, the angel Moroni in Mormonism is a classical ET case. And in fact, we published this in myself, my co-author, Dr. Philip Liss, in my first book, The Age of Cataclysm, which is published by G.P. Putnam's in 1974. We did a publication there of a theory called the context communication theory of extraterrestrial communications, and that is that UFO encounters are actually context communications by advanced intelligence to our own. They're like a dream, and in the same way that you use a dream dictionary to be able to parse the symbols in a dream, going back to Freud and Jung and all of that, the same way you can decode UFO encounters, God, man, Air Force Base. I mean, all of these classical UFO encounters, we actually decoded them as dreams, as context communications. So there has since been a 3-volume treatise written on the 1917 Fatima miracle, where a Virgin Mary appeared to the 3 Portuguese children, which turned out to be a female extraterrestrial. And the Fatima miracle was actually the first large UFO, contact encounter of the 20th century. And so human religions, the burning bush, the 12 commandments, the voice of God, all of that are interdimensional and extraterrestrial interventions in humanity posing as God, pushing buttons on this relatively primitive, primitive primate species that is trying to figure it out. And they say, well, we're God, Yahweh, we're Yahweh, and it's been to manipulate us. So the most divided place that we have on any given Friday, Saturday, or Sunday are the temples and the churches. And look at the state of Islam versus Christianity versus Judaism. Just go to Jerusalem and try to survive for one day without, getting your head cut off. It's impossible, because all of these religions and all these memes that were created by extraterrestrials in the first place, because even if we take Islam, Muhammad went into a cave where he was given channeled information. It's all based on channeled information. And he would come down and then talk it out and write it out, and they would write it down on pieces of leather or bark, and then that became the Quran. It's just channeled stuff that we're all, as exopoliticians, familiar with the principles of channeled information, right?
Yeah.
So once we begin to do an exopolitical analysis of what religion is, which is human financial and political organizations like the Vatican that create themselves around religiously channeled information or paranormal phenomena, for ends, that's where we end up on a planet like this, where you have all of these financial and political vested interests, prompted by the bankers who are making money off of war because they manipulate all ends of it, and all of this enmity. You have 1 billion Islamics, out to exterminate 15 million Jews, out to exterminate 1 billion Christians, and and there is only one source, and everybody knows that there is only one source, but they can't get beyond the manipulations implanted there by the ETs, and then over the years, all of the vested interests and the duality in there. So the prediction and the trend is, like all of the other areas that break down breakthrough, is the falling away of religions, these meme-driven financial and political organizations, and the emergence of spirituality and science. And that's what we're doing at exouniversity.org. We're introducing exosciences, sci-sciences. Once you get into, well, what happens in the interlife? What happens right after bodily death? And various religions will say, well, this is what happens, and this is what happens, and that may not be scientifically correct. In fact, it's scientific, can be shown now based on laboratory protocols and replicable results of over 7,000 cases of hypnotic regression of soul memories of the interlife. It can be shown that the major teachings of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, probably Buddhism is the most scientifically based of all of them, are scientifically incorrect.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to have to jump in with both of you because I've got so many different topics that I wanted to mention. I've missed most of them. But yeah, just on the afterlife thing initially, then I'll jump back to the Bible. Just on the afterlife thing initially, there were loads of German experiments, and I use Germany just for one example. There are other countries as well, including Russia, that have done these things. But what was actually noted and scientifically proven is that when people were in operating theatres and such like, ready in a position whereby they might be passing on, there was a situation organised under scientific tests whereby the body was actually being weighed at the time of death. And what they actually found was that the body actually lost 22 to 23 grams, I think it was, in weight when the soul actually left the body. So that actually calculated that the soul has a weight, etc. So that's one of the things that I wanted to mention. Also, when you study the skull experiment conducted by Montague Keen, also referenced by Victoria Keen, it's SCOLE. It was the most scientific, in-depth study ever done into the afterlife in the UK, and those were the people that were involved in that. And what the outcome of the skull experiments was incredible. There was all sorts of afterlife energies. There was coins appearing. There was newspapers from the 1830s appearing out of nowhere, falling onto the table. There was films that were sealed with plans that embedded themselves into sealed film containers. There was just so many different things that were occurring. Spheres that were manifesting and then morphing into solid matter that could be handled by people at the actual experiments and passed around. It was recorded on multiple levels, and it was all scientific information that was covered on that. And I'd love to get into a show just covering that. And that's one aspect of what I wanted to mention. Hence, jumping back to the Bible, the second area is that one of the things that we've learned, and Kate Santos and I have been seriously studying for quite a while now in order to get this information clear, is that what we've actually got with the Bible and the Quran is, number one, that they're both based on the astrophysiology, the movements of the stars. And a lot of the Bible information that's within the Bible and / the Quran is based on allegory. Kate would love to jump here. I know that she's jumping up and down here right now, just waiting for a chance to get a word in. But the point is, the Bibles are actually based. There are elements of truth hidden in the Bibles, and they are literally pretty damn near perfect. Because then when you go back further still and cross-reference the Bible codes that the Pentagon tried to actually crack in a way to disprove them, spent an absolute fortune trying to crack the Bible codes, and in fact you can find the birth dates, the assassination dates, the events of people like Yitzhak Rabin, and people, fundamental figures throughout history that have all existed, lived and died in whatever circumstances, lots of different things. And you can also find things like 9/11 encoded into the Bible. When they typed into the Bible code that is based on the original 5 books of the Bible, you'll find that the word, for example, obelisk, was written from left to right, top to bottom, and from right to left, top to bottom. When the words 9/11 were encoded, also on the same page were terrorism and attacks and various other key, what we would call tags in this current day and age, all associated to false flag things. And this goes right the way through back in history. First World War, Second World War, Titanic, right the way through. All of these things have been encoded into the Bibles. So what's actually happened is the Bibles and the religions that have been born from the Bible and the Quran, etc., have been twisted into fundamentalism and used against the masses with allegorical examples of what's actually been done. In other words, a snake offering Eve an apple. You know, snakes haven't got hands, they haven't got fingers, they can't offer anybody an apple, let alone speak. So
hey,
it's a bit of a problem.
Tony, hold that thought for a sec. We got like 5 minutes left of airtime here. We are going to go past the hour, ladies and gentlemen, which is exactly what I expected when we found out we were going to have Alfred on here. I want to get the rest of the predictions anyway. But first thing, I'd like to thank Critical Mass Radio and Paul for giving us this platform so that we can get this truth out to you guys. Big thank you to everyone that's in the chat room for tuning in tonight. And of course, a beautiful thank you to Laura Eisenhower for sharing the first hour with us tonight as well. And always, Alfred and Laura are completely welcome. Like I said, it's not an open door. We took the door off for people like them. So I just wanted to say a great big thank you to all the listeners, and to keep in mind that we will go past the hour. I'm not sure how long. I'll post it in the chat room. But once we go off the recording, the show will be available usually within about 5 minutes, and I will advise everyone once that occurs. So please, this show is by far not even close to being over. So stay tuned and get the archive, because you're going to want to hear the rest of the show. But I just want to say thank you, and you have been listening to Outside the Box here on Critical Mass Radio platform on Blog Talk Radio. Anyway, so carry on, guys. Just want to get that out there.
Yeah, I just would like to give Alfred the opportunity as well to get out his information about exopolitics and any other information initially before. We've got about 4 minutes, Alfred.
Okay, I'd like to do very, very briefly. Our websites are exopolitics.com, and our educational website is exouniversity.org. And very briefly, that there are 2 remaining predictions are top 10 predictions of 2013. Prediction 2 is an continued elevation and ascension of consciousness and increased synchronicity and telepathy. So you should be having that in your personal life. And prediction number 1 is the positive timeline, unity consciousness, and in the transition, the landing of Paradise Planet and Heaven on Earth during the period from 2013 to 2025. So you've now heard all our top 10 predictions.
Awesome, and that's beautiful. I love it when that comes out on a good note like that. We are in the golden age, folks. We have managed to avert the catastrophic timelines. We're all waking up to the facts of vaccines, free energy, anti-gravity travel, and all of the hidden stuff that's been held away. We're going to get into Mayans, we're going to get into Aztec, Sanskrit, Mesopotamia. There's all sorts of things. I want to do the pyramids as well. I've got tons and tons and tons of stuff I'd love to bring, but I don't know how long we've got after the show ends. So I would suggest people download it as Kate does, but we're going to give it all we've got as long as Alfred's okay to keep on with us. But yeah, go for it, Alfred. That was wonderful. Carry on.
Yeah. So there. Just to end on this, I'm not sure what's going on with time. So you'll have to tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to end the show in literally 2 minutes, but we can carry on after the time.
Okay.
Oh no, the show. Hey, Alfred, don't worry about it. I just wanted to let people know that it will go off the air, but it continues to record for the archive, so it will be a complete show.
Good.
So no pressure. Just
good. I have actually feel that a sense of completion, and I would be very happy to come back at some future date to pick up on, either with Laura or in any format to pick up on some of the themes that were talked about here. For example, that I have a whole postulation that human souls are actually common to extraterrestrials and earthlings, and get into what the intelligent civilization of souls is like, and how we manifest here in what I call the exopolitics dimension in our various planetary incarnations. And but I've been able to get out the 10 top predictions. You can see the full article, and also an Exopolitics News video on that at exopolitics.com. And I just want to express my gratitude for being here. Thank you.
All right, that's great. Thank you ever so much for coming on here, Alfred. That's been wonderful. Thanks very much, and hopefully we'll get you back on as soon as possible. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. We're into the recording aspect now, so again, there's no pressure. If you want to chat a bit more, that's not a problem at all. This is not an issue. I just wanted to let the listeners know that if we're still going at the end of the show, that there will be more afterwards. So if there's anything you want to share, that'd be great. And Cindy just showed up in the call here, so she might have a question too. If you want, Alfred, it's up to you.
Yeah, I will stay for any questions, and then I really have to go.
Oh, no problem. Don't feel pressure or anything. I just want to let you.
Okay.
I was more concerned with you feeling you had to go. You don't, but you just tell us. You're the guest.
Yeah. I would be happy to answer any questions now, and otherwise I'll just end right now.
Well, I don't. Hi, Alfred. How are you doing? I'm Cindy.
Yeah, thank you.
I was just walking in the house and caught the very tail end, and just want to tell you that I really love your work, and you're an amazing person. And thank you so much for coming on the air.
Oh, great! Yeah. Well, I think that 2013 is. I find it to be a very powerful year, and that it feels like we're all both in our individual personal lives, and then in sort of the macro mega life, we're facing all of the issues, but somehow they all get solved. And I'm really enjoying the increase in synchronicity and telepathy and all those good magical aspects of life, and the increase in love on the planet, and in really enjoyment of all of our fellow human beings and our fellows in the other dimensions. So thank you very much for your positive thoughts and support.
Thank you, and I totally agree with you. I think 2013 is just already turning out to be phenomenal, and we are going to be manifesting many great things.
Totally.
Wonderful.
Great.
Oh.
Well, I'm sorry. I will be listening to the download after we get off the air, and it was a pleasure to finally speak to you. I've been on your friends list and
great.
reading and listening to you for quite some time now, and
Good.
it is very much an honor to speak to you.
Well, it is an honor likewise to meet you and to speak to you.
Okay. Well, with that, I will let you guys wrap it up and let this man get on with his day. And thank you.
Awesome, Sydney. Thanks so much. Alfred, the door is open for you, my friend. Hey, I'd give you one night a week if you wanted to show up every week just to give us updates. So do not hesitate if there's something that comes up, because we can get you scheduled in like really quick. And I have other questions. I'll save them for other shows regarding time jumps and whatnot.
Good.
But I experienced one that was done to me to change a certain timeline so they could steal my house. They screwed up and they jumped back to fix the documents. So
amazing.
And also, Alfred, just on that note, we have had, I believe, how many listeners tonight? Live listeners, Kate?
Well, given that we were already running in the high 50s, 60s, 70,000s, we're sitting at 13,700. It took us a couple of months to get these numbers, so it's we're back.
Oh, great. Beautiful.
Lots of people tuned in tonight. It'll probably be closer to 15, 16,000 tuned in tonight after all the stats are in, but a lot of people heard your voice tonight, and I just want to make sure the platform's here for you anytime.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
thank you,
Alfred.
And thank you, Tony. I guess we'll wrap this one up tonight. You've been listening to Alfred Weber and Laura Eisenhower here on Outside the Box. I'm your host, Kate of Gaia, with co-host Tony Z. Always a pleasure to bring a wonderful truth to all you listeners, and realize this, that it is you that is making the difference more than you're aware of. You change your mind, you change my universe. So let's do her, let's get her done. Much love to everyone. Good night.
God bless.
Good night. God bless.
Good night, and God bless.